Hello, everybody. It's me again, your favorite teacher, Miss Secor. I'm kidding for some of you. Okay, so this week's assignment, in addition to the assessment, is a short paper on the Zoot riots. This is not a research paper. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, so to prepare for this paper, first you're going to watch these two videos. This is going to give you a little historic content on the Zoot riots. And this is going to give you some information, although the audio is not that great, on why Vincent Valdez painted this painting called Kill the Pachuco Bastards. This is the painting. It is in the folder for this week. So as always, you're going to adhere to the formatting instructions. So first of all, 500 word minimum. If your paper is less than that, then you'll be graded on the percentage of your paper that's complete. For example, if you only write 250 words, well, that's a paper that's only 50% complete. So if the score, like the possible score for the paper is 50 points and yours is only 50% complete, then you'll only get 25 points before any other deductions. So just don't BS to fill up the 500 words, but just bear it in mind that you have to write at least 500 words. Don't write a book, please, because I have a million students and I don't have time to read a book, although I love reading. So the next thing is that this is going to be either a Word doc or Word doc X. No PDFs, no pages, no ODTs, no other format is accepted. You have to use a computer to create this document. If you send it through your phone or mobile device, well, it's going to not probably I'll receive it and I won't be able to open it because it'll be like ODT or pages or something. It's got to be like a Word doc or Word doc X. You have to have 1-inch borders. You have to single space with an extra space between paragraphs, and please use a 12-point font. On the first page of your paper, at the top, you're going to have your name, the assignment name, and the date. Then you're going to give your paper a title. And then when you get through writing your paper, after you proofread it, make sure you don't have any typos or grammatical errors or anything. You're going to save your file as your first and last name, Zoot, doc or docx, depending on your capacity of your computer. Then you're going to send me your file as an attachment through Blackboard Message. You're not going to cut and paste your paper into Blackboard. It's going to be an attachment. Thank you. And I don't have this on here, but make sure you proofread it several times. If when you're writing your paper and you see a word that's underlined in red, well, more often than not, but not always, but more often than not, that means it's misspelled. The reason I say not always is because it always shows my last name is misspelled, but I know it's not. So you have to use your own discretion. If you see a word underlined in blue, well, that could indicate that there's a spacing issue, or it could indicate that there's a grammatical issue or a punctuation issue. Having said that, if you use a contraction like don't instead of do not, it'll have that blue line under it. It's okay to use contractions. Again, you have to use common sense when you're looking at those red and blue lines. So also use like spell and grammar check, and then read it out loud, because that's how I catch most of my mistakes. Although I still make some mistakes, but that's a good way of catching mistakes. And then if you're still unsure, have somebody else read it. Okay, so then the content, you're gonna watch those videos and you're gonna look at that painting. And like, again, you'll notice that these are not research papers questions. So the first thing is like, before you had this assignment, had you ever heard of the Zoot Suit riots? Yes or no? And if you had heard of them, what did you know about them? And then the next question, whether you've heard about them before or you're only just now learning about them. What is your response or reaction about learning about this part of our American history? Then the next thing, and you be as honest as you want to be. Then, not as you want to be, as you can be. Then when you look, then we look at any artwork. We can't help but look at it through the lens of what is currently taking place in our lives, individually and as a community and as a country. When you look at and you think about Vincent Valdez's painting and what this painting is based on, what does it make you think of as it relates to the world you live in today? Then, and what does that mean? Like, is there anything you've heard in the news? Is there anything in current events? Is there anything in your personal life or your family's life that make you think about what's happening in that painting and the event that this painting is based on? And after you listen to that interview, that kind of like bad audio interview with Vincent Valdez, and I apologize because this video was produced by somebody else and I don't have the capacity to closed caption it. So I apologize. But when you listen to that, what is your takeaway as to why he felt this was an important event to record visually? Like, what was his reason? Why did he think it was important for us to see this painting and to find out about this event? See, none of those questions, other than watching that video, looking at that painting, listening to Vincent Valdez about why he painted those paintings, you don't have to do. Beyond that, you don't have to do any outside research. And I would discourage you from doing it, because that's when people start plagiarizing. And I don't want you to plagiarize from an outside source or you'll get an F. Okay, so the next thing you do is you're going to zoom into the image, the Quilipachuco Bastards image. And you're going to think about the significance or the symbolism. Oh my God, look at me. I'm like blabbing about how you can't have any typos. And then there's a typo. You're going to think of the significance of the following three posters in relationship to the two groups of men fighting. I don't want you to literally tell me what the poster means. I want you to think about the symbolism of the poster in relationship to the two groups of men fighting. So there's a poster of Uncle Sam with the words to say, "I want you for the U.S. Army." There's a poster of Emiliano Zapata that has the words "Viva Zapata." You can look, if you don't know who Emilio Zapata is, you can look him up. But if you use any quotations from another site, you're going to have to put footnotes, and you're going to have to put like where you got what the source of those words were. So just like bear that in mind, because I don't want you to plagiarize about who Emiliano Zapata is. But if you don't know who he is, look him up so you can understand what I'm referring to, like what would he symbolize in the painting. And then finally, there's a third poster that says, it's a poster of a boxer, and it says El Pollo main event. You're not gonna clump all these posters up together when you talk about them. You're gonna discuss them individually, and you're gonna think of their another type of, I almost cussed just then. You're gonna think of their deeper symbolic meanings, not their literal meanings. For example, Emiliano Zapata was one of the main leaders of the Mexican Revolution. That's literally who he was. But what does he symbolize in the content of the two groups in the painting? Think about that. I'm not going to give you the answer. So then, finally, the last question is, you're going to discuss Valdez's painting in terms of its distortion of space using one-point linear perspective. Be really clear in your description and refer directly to details in the painting as evidence. If you want to, want a little hint about what I mean about the distortion of the one-point linear perspective, go back to the chapter 4, look at the section, either review the video or look at the section on one-point linear perspective and see what a typical one-point linear perspective, how it's laid out. And then think about that, and then look at how the painting is laid out. It is in one-point linear perspective, but there's something about it that distorts the normal one-point linear perspective. And you can also talk about what that distortion does in terms of the context, what the painting is about, how that affects what's going on in the painting. Okay, if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to send me a message through Blackboard Message, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. And if we need to have a phone call early in the week rather than later, I'll also be really happy to help you out there. All righty, thanks. And I look forward to these papers because frankly, they're always the most impassioned, best papers I get the entire semester out of all my classes. Because this is a really, there's a lot of emotional content into what the Zoot Riots is about and what this painting's about. All right, thank you.